What up, guys? So today I'm gonna be starting on the wiring on the Met. Hopefully I can get it all wired up. It's a mess. I'll show you guys here in a second, but I did get the battery box made. I'll show you guys here. And then it sits right there and you can see the wiring. I'll show you guys later and I'll put in the description of where I got the box, but I didn't film me making it because it'll be different for everybody's setup. I mean, not everybody will be running stock ECU, so they won't need the extra space on the bottom. I mounted mine as high as possible. Some people won't be using the cover, the floorboard cover, so mounting it up high like this would be different and it'll look weird. So everybody's will be different, but I'll go into a little bit more detail on that later. What I'm gonna get started on is this rat's nest here. I got some of the wires labeled up already. I'm just gonna have to extend these, and then this portion right here is the engine part, and I'm gonna have to extend that as well. Or actually, I'm gonna have to shorten this. So all this part will be coming out, be shortened. This part will be getting cut and extended. So let's get started. Alright guys, so a couple of days has passed. I've been having a few issues with the bike. I still have all the wiring open. I had loomed it up already, but when I took it for a test ride, it rode fine, and then it started popping the main fuse, which is a 20 amp fuse for the stock ECU. So I pulled it all back apart, and I'm gonna go through everything. That main fuse, I believe, is connected to the horn, the fuel pump, the rear blinkers and tail light, the ignition, and I think the left-hand control up there, the one that does the blinkers. So I'm gonna go through all those wiring. I'm gonna make sure nothing's grounded out, make sure I have proper grounds, everything. I've already gone through a lot of fuses already trying to figure this out, but I'll let a couple days go by so I can go over the schematics. So now I have a pretty good idea of where all those wires go to. Now I'm not chasing every single wire in here. I know at least where to look and where to start. So hopefully we can get this short figured out. And then once I get that figured out, we'll be able to loom it up. I'll show you guys how I loomed it. We'll finalize the battery mounting position, the ECU and everything. Clean up all the looming, wrap it with this little Chinese finger trap loom stuff. And then hopefully we should be all good. So let's get started. All right, so basically I'm gonna show you guys what's going on. So here's the fuse panel right here, the 3 fuses and the relay. Basically, I'm at the key right now. When I turn the key on to the on position, boom, it pops the fuse. I got the seat frame back already from Powder Coat. Looks great. It matches the denim blue on the OEM. I got the new motor in. I didn't show you guys how to put the motor in because it literally was just me unbolting it from the motor mount. I mean, it was already GY6, so I didn't show you guys that. But I got the new motor in, and I'll show you guys the pretty much the wiring that I got going on here. I got the ground, the stator wires, the starter, everything's nice and loomed up. I had the taillight loomed up, but I undid it because this is part of that main relay fuse. So I did disconnect it just to see, and it's still popping in, so I don't think it's the rear tail light. So I'm just gonna start moving on to the rest. I did already try all the relays from my Ruckus. I took it apart, took all the relays out, put them in here. Still didn't work. I put the relays from here into there, and it did run. I thought it was the fuel pump because the fuel pump, without it plugged in, it does not fire any power on the bike. So if there was a short inside the fuel pump, I was hoping that was it. I took the fuel pump off the Ruckus, put it in here, still didn't work. The fuel pump off here works on the Ruckus. So the last thing I'm gonna do is the ECU, but this is an expensive unit. So what I wanna do is trace every wire that leads to that fuse box first. If everything looks good, checks out, I'm gonna try the ECU from the Ruckus. I don't want there to be a short somewhere in here where it's frying the ECU, and I fry the ECU in my perfectly good running bike. So that's my last part that I'm gonna try. So first I'm just gonna go through all these. Hopefully everything's good. See, I mean, like, this is the horn, and it has heat shrink on it. Let's see if it'll focus. But it's like the clear stuff, so I'm probably just gonna put electrical tape over that because they're not exposed, but I just want to be safe. I'm gonna cut all the loom off these. I already cut the loom off everything. That's why it looks crazy right now. I mean, it was really clean and loomed up. Like, everything bundles up really nicely, and it all lines up good. Once it's taped up, and all tucks away really nice. But like I said, I uncut everything, so I'm just gonna start going through it all. All right, so first I'm gonna check out this control. I did mess with this control and the horn butt a little bit because when I had taken these apart to shave them to get the disc brake levers to fit, I did mess around with the spring and stuff inside here, so I'm hoping there isn't a short, but if there is, easy fix. So the control looks good. There's no exposed wires. I'm gonna check out the wires as they flow through the front and see if there's anything out of the ordinary. I'm gonna follow that wire from the control down to these plugs to make sure everything's good, nothing's touching. And alright, so far, everything up here, even the ignition, all the wires aren't exposed. So I'm gonna start making my way down here and then checking out the other wires towards the end. Alright guys, so I figured it out. It's been about a week total of wiring. Probably 3 to 4 days just straight diagnosing. Like I said, I had all this loomed up already. I undid everything, and you'll never guess what it was. It was the horn. And you might have thought, oh, it might have been that horn wire that was exposed. No, it actually wasn't. So there's this little plug right here. It's a tiny 2-pin plug. There's 2 male plugs that it can go into that are exactly the same. One, the wiring is very close to the same. It has green on the other side and black on the other side. Pretty similar to this one. Different stripes, but same color. This one's completely different. It's black and blue. And I had it plugged into the green one. You know, I mean, it makes sense. It's a 2-pin, the green to green. It was wrong. It needed to go to a different one. So that's what was popping my fuse this whole time. So I decided I'm just gonna leave the horn unplugged. The horn never did work after I took it apart and shaved down the lever for the stock lever. The spring in there is weird. It has like a spring that's like smaller on one end, bigger on the other end, and there's this little pin that goes in there. Honestly, I couldn't figure it out, and even if I did, it's really hard to mess around with it because it's so small in there. Every time I try to get the spring in there, it's just like pops out. So I just decided, you know what, I'll say forget the horn for now. I can worry about that later. I really rarely ever use my horn. You guys probably say, oh, it's dangerous, you need to have your horn. Eventually I'll get a horn. I'll hook it up. I might just do an external button somewhere, that way if I need it I can honk it. But for now, I'm just gonna finish up all the wiring. I'll plug it into the correct plug, obviously, so that way it'll work when I go and tap into it later, or if I figure out how to do the control. But as of right now, it's not really my main priority. The horn is very, very insignificant to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and tuck all this wiring back up. I'm gonna loom it up. I'm gonna electrical tape it together. I got the loom already pre-cut because I had done it before, so I'll get all that buttoned up and reroute all the wires again, because when I unjumbled all the wiring, it's kind of everywhere now. So I'm gonna have to really re-jumble the wires together and tape them all up, route them where they need to go, and put the panels back on. I do have a couple wires I need to resolder, like the tail light. I did cut it just so I could see if that was maybe the unit was bad. So I'm just gonna solder one of those wires up. I think the blinker's up here I need to rehook up, and then that's pretty much it. Once I get those done, I'll just go ahead and loom all this and we'll get the panels back on. She's done. And the only reason why I'm doing this, even though I'm putting this like Chinese finger trap stuff on here, I just don't want the colors of the wires to show through. So basically the electrical tape is just gonna, you know, make it black, so that way when you look at the wiring, you don't see red and green and all these other colors. Just kind of clean it up. Alright guys, so I didn't really film me looming the wiring because I was just taping a bunch of wires together and routing them. But as you can see, I got the Chinese finger trap all the way down here, and don't really worry about this little jumble yet. Once I get the panel on, this goes behind the headlight, and then I'll reroute each wire to the blinker or whatever, and then I'll tape it up. So I'm just waiting on that because I got to put the panels and stuff back on first. But basically it runs all the way down here under the gas tank. It splits off here. I got the CDI, I have this extended and tucked in over here just in case this goes bad. These tend to go bad, so it'll be easy for me to change it out. I just have to take the panels off, boom, unplug, plug in a new one. So that's easy to access. I got the battery in there. There's just a couple wires I didn't tape up, and these go to the ECU, but it's really not a big deal. These are hidden completely, so you can't see them. It's only like 4 wires. But these ones that aren't taped up, these are like added grounds for the speedometer and the switched power for the speedometer, and I have them out like this, so if I need to disassemble it and get rid of it, I can easily just take that off instead of like soldering it into the ground. So I have those. The wiring pretty much sits right there, right in there. The CDI sits on top like that, and then this big harness right here goes to the back to the ECU, which is, let's see if you can see it, which is tucked in right there. So you can see the ECU. I need to mount this stuff up. I just finished the wiring, so I'll figure out mounting positions for those. But the ECU sits right there, and the little panel, this is like the fuse pump holder. It doesn't fit anymore, but I have it secured onto the ECU, so it kind of looks stock from here. Looks stock. So like I said, don't worry about the coil wire. I'll route that up in the fuel line. I'll route it around. I just finished the wiring, but I'm gonna throw the panels on. I'm gonna throw all the panels on, and then get everything bolted down. Get this bolted up, and then I'll be able to route the coil and all that stuff, and then we'll fire her up. guys, there you have it. It's all done, finally. We'll start it up real quick, just to make sure everything's good. Headlight works. Turn that off. Alright. I would let it run longer, but it's pretty late. It's like 10 o'clock at night.